Hello and good morning, beautiful people, and welcome to another fine edition of the Hollywood Redux podcast. And you might be asking yourself, hey guys, Sicario 2, what happened to Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom? Well, we actually thought that this video would suffice. So that's pretty much the best representation of Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, so that's our review. Moving on to today's review, Sicario 2. Welcome back, everybody. I'm your host, Matt.
I'm Grisalia.
And I'm Michael.
And of course, we're coming to you from HollywoodRedux.com. And today we are talking about Sicario 2, the follow-up to Sicario.
2015, yeah.
Cesario?
Is it a
It's
follow-up?
Sicario.
Is it supposed to be?
Yeah, well, here's our review of Sicario 2, Day of the Soldado. So if you haven't seen one of our reviews before, we are going to spoil the hell out of it. So if you have not seen Sicario 2 yet, please go see the movie and then come back and watch this review. But for those of you who have seen the movie and want to talk about it, we're here for you. And Sicario 2, let's get right to it. This movie, to me, the best way I could sum up this movie before we get into too many details is it felt like all the editing room film that like was cut out of another movie, and it's just like, here's some tail pieces and chunks of action that all kind of make a story, but like there is no story that goes with this. I don't know what they were trying to tell us with this movie at all. There was a lot of great action, some cool shots, but honestly, like nobody but the cast came back for the second movie. Like
No one.
And then we're basically trying to break down the story. We're trying to follow after...
Which one? There were so many, I think.
Okay, so it starts...
Right?
It starts with a terrorist act in Kansas City, and these three bombers go inside and they suicide bomb themselves. And it opens with this woman pleading for her and her daughter's life. Please.
Yeah, she actually grabs her daughter and walks slowly towards the guy with the bomb who's praying and about to blow up. Like, that just to me seems like really dumb. Like, just run the other direction.
I think there was a door right next to her on the other side, I think.
Either way, you still decided to try to, like, level with the guy who is clearly about to blow himself up.
Yeah.
And it just felt like a real big push. I don't know, we were talking about this film as like, do we really need this movie right now?
Right now, especially
like,
not.
I feel like this is a terrible time to release this movie with what's happening in our country, with what's happening with, like, just plain racism happening, and, like, not to get too much on a negative fucking vibe here, but, like, there's tons of racism happening in our culture today, like, tons of fucking xenophobia, and, like, this movie does nothing
it just is
but
like
try to
fuel.
push that, like, idea, that idea onto us. Like, yeah, you know, like, fuck it. And it all doesn't even really fucking matter at the end of the day because we're Americans. Like, who's gonna fuck with us? That's how this movie felt.
Yeah.
And I was just, the whole time, I was like, the graphic violence that happens in it, way too much. Like, I'm a horror movie fan. I love, like, violence, gore, all this stuff. But this was just, like, to the point of, like, it almost reminded me of, like, watching, like, Bo Rat or something, like, where it's, like, he's going for shock value with comedy by just having his dick spin around like a helicopter blade for 30 seconds.
It was more like gratuitous violence.
It was just gratuitous violence that, like, nothing felt like there had any reason for it in the story to, like, push the story forward. What we could get together, like, we could pull together from this story, because none of us really read a summary or anything like that. What we came together with is, these terrorists, they think, got in by being smuggled across the Mexico-U.S. border. They made their way to Kansas City for some reason and then blew up a bunch of people. And they came over on a ship that some Somalians didn't decide to pirate. Another stereotype. Like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, they played a lot of stereotypes out in this
somebody
film.
who, like, works in some deep, dark closet at Fox News decided to write a movie, and it's Sicario 2. And you could quote me on that, Rolling Stone.
They even mentioned Fox News in the film once.
They did.
Cha-ching!
So,
that was it for me.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
bad.
terribly racist. Like, it starts with that Islamophobic vibe. Oh,
prayer mats.
Yeah, these
Allah
terrorists are
Akbar
coming
and all
in.
that shit happening. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, so
It's just lazy. It's super lazy. It's like, what can we get right now? What's popular right now? Like, let's do the shittiest parts. that like a lot of people are okay with, and like let's just put that into a movie, and no storyline.
Yeah.
None.
And so what we pulled together was since the cartels, Mexican cartels control the U.S.-Mexico border, essentially, they have to...
That was the clearest part.
That was the clearest
why?
part. Hold on.
Because they give it to you in the first 30 seconds in a block of text. That's why it was the easiest part to understand.
So they're trying to start a war between the cartels so that we can...
So they could help prevent...
distracted?
Yeah, from allowing terrorists to come into America to blow up targets in Kansas City.
I feel like there's more storyline here than what we actually saw.
And then like all the rules are off. I think it was just like kind of like they were like, you know what, like people like John Wick and like Sicario did all right, so like let's just like give them a John Wick reason to fucking go wreak havoc on a bunch of Mexicans that have nothing to do with anything, and it's just ridiculous. And it's it sounds like I honestly hope POTUS does not see this movie. I really hope he doesn't. Because it's going to give him some ideas.
It's fuel to the fire. It really is.
You know, but on a technical side of things, you know, the score obviously wasn't going to be done by Johan Johannesson again. You know, he sadly passed. You know, but I feel like they rehashed his score a little bit. And that was something that in the first film, if you've heard our review of that, because I think it was just that was an audio pod. That was before we went into the digital age.
It's linked down below on our website.
Yeah, somewhere in that description below, you can find that. But in the first one, and we might have called it Sicario. I don't know why, but you know.
They know why once they listen to it.
That film,
they'll know why.
That film, I think, in our review of that was the same thing. It was, you know, it was an entertaining movie. It was super stressful. There were some very intense moments. Yeah. But it had a purpose. Like, there was a reason they were going there. There was a reason they were dealing in Mexico and Juarez and things like that.
There was always a reason.
There was a reason for Benicio Del Toro to want to go and have this vengeful story.
And it all paid off.
Yeah, and in this one, it was just like, let's just rip the Band-Aid off and let's go have some cool action sequences and shootouts and things, which, by the way, you've seen them all in the trailers already.
Yes.
So there's really not much more to it.
Just put them all together, and then you'll watch the movie.
You know what you don't get in the trailers so much of? Miguel Hernandez. The little high school kid from Texas who's trying to join the cartels and smuggling people over the border.
He seems like such a nice boy at the beginning of this film. He's got a Leatherman's jacket on.
Yeah.
Watch
He's part of the American dream.
And then you'll see his transformation in the...
And then he gets into a car with Latino Dean Winchester, and they peel out and smoke. And basically, like, I'm sorry, but like, hey, is the cartel's like recruitment process really just hanging out, drinking a beer and smoking a joint, and then like getting paid $400? And it's like, are you in? And it's like, oh,
yeah,
sure, this is what it is.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like, hell yeah.
Well,
you know?
the lady
you can trust
also
me.
driving the van said the same thing.
Yeah, she's like, if you could show me something that pays, but that was so dumb. Come on. I mean, you know that shit happens. Like, of course that happens.
Yeah.
But, like, this was just such a stretch. Like, say what you want about military. I respect the hell out of people serving and all militaries all around the world. However, and like, I know there's shady shit that happens all over the place that people never want to ever talk about, especially at the CIA. But there has never been a room with the people that were in the room giving fucking Josh Brolin the okay to go do this and do whatever the fuck he wants. There has never been a room with those people in there saying like, all right, we want you to do this. And then they're all trying to be super coy about it. Like,
yeah.
What the fuck?
And then,
was like Modine just like hopped up on morphine during that scene? Because it just seemed like somebody was puppeteering him from behind. I love you, Matt Modine. Like, Stranger Things, you're my dog, but come on. Like, wake up. Like, they're filming. They're rolling, Matt. They're rolling.
I'm gonna need to get dirty. That's why we brought you
That's why we brought you here. Fuck. Get that guy a cup of coffee or something.
He was so upset that things didn't go well.
Yeah, and then he just said, deal with it. Like, that's kind of how this movie felt. Like, we made a joke. After the movie, I was like, was Matthew Modine's question like, why didn't you just house her in Mexico? I feel like that was like a studio note on the script, and that somebody was like, oh, they want that to be a line in here. Okay. And then we'll make it. It was just like, there was no story here.
There was
I'm
none.
sorry. Like, I wish there was. I wish everything didn't match up. Just like everything just was way too convenient. really bad continuity flaws throughout.
Benicio Del Toro did not get shot in the head, apparently. It looked...
Although he did get shot in the head when the kid shot him.
Yeah, I could definitely see brain
Hey,
coming
man.
out.
He doesn't
it's
die.
a brain falling out.
That's a fact.
He doesn't die. He doesn't die.
just
He's
right
like,
here.
And
He's a badass and he doesn't die.
he's basically the
Sick.
Crow,
I can get
which
behind that.
I would totally get behind Benicio Del Toro.
Yeah.
Dude, he's so badass.
No, but don't get me wrong.
Okay.
Like Benicio Del Toro, like totally brought it. You know, like he went for it. He killed it. He was great in this movie. He got to actually act again. I feel instead of just playing some goofball character who's covered in neon paint.
Did some sign language. That was
Did
cool.
some sign language. Got to hear a little bit more about his family that was in the first film. But like I feel like the first film was about Josh Brolin, Emily Blunt, and Josh Brolin's team. That's the whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
This movie starts that way and then is all about Benicio Del Toro. And at the same time, you're just kind of who's the protagonist here? And you don't really know because then they have to be pitted against each other in the third act. And you're like, okay, cool. And then somehow Benicio Del Toro is minutes behind them after Blackhawks take off. And,
After being shot and left in
Yeah.
the desert, by the way.
Yeah, at night, and it's daytime now, he wakes up. He still makes it there seconds later. Nobody's discovered these cars or anything yet.
Yeah. Interesting.
Nothing. Again, this feels like snippets, as if somebody cut out every 5 minutes of an actual real movie, and then those 5-minute segments became Sicario 2. It just does not make any sense. They go in there, I guess, to whoever wrote this, I can't, Taylor Sheridan?
Taylor Sheridan.
Wake up, bro. I mean, come on. Respect, you're a working writer in Hollywood, go for it. But damn, man, you know you can do better. And this shit was racist as fuck. I'm sorry. I'm from the
rough.
South, and this shit was racist as fuck. It was not good. There were some great action sequences, but again, just talking about the music, from the first film. You got Roger Deakins doing cinematography and shooting that film, looking amazing. The DP from this one was not Roger Deakins. I can't remember his name, but he did an okay job. There's one shot that makes you think fuck yeah, this guy could, be the next Roger Deakins or some shit. But the two helicopters flying in and all that's in the trailer.
Cool.
It's a pretty cool sequence.
That was pretty cool, yeah.
But at the same time, that's the biggest thing they do. Everything else is just a bunch of Humvees driving, interior cars,
the big aerials again.
Yeah, you could tell that they shot this movie with a ton of B-roll and a ton of stunt guys, and then went back and plugged in shit with Brolin and fucking Benicio Del Toro, doing their thing, because there's no way that somebody really wrote this beginning to end with how this came out, because damn.
I hope not.
I'm sorry, man. I'm shitting all over this.
And then the very end, I gotta say, when we pick up with the high school kid Miguel again, and he's got
A year
all
later.
these tattoos.
Oh my god, it's the best
First
part.
of all, didn't he just ditch the cartel gang? And he
he
jump
did
off
that
the
so he
van?
didn't get shot.
But he didn't know about that ahead of time, of course.
Yeah,
but
no, of course
he
not.
just felt it. He felt like leaving.
He just didn't want to be a part of that life, but then decided he wanted to be part of that life. And,
Again.
He felt
he's
like he wasn't
such a-
fully committed yet without the tats and stuff.
I'm not trying
Tats.
to dog on. I'm not trying to dog on that actor either. I think he was fine. I mean, he had a resting bitch face the whole movie, pretty much.
I think it was
I'm
necessary.
so torn. I did feel even though he barely said any words, I did feel there was a lot of tension and his decisions and things like that. But when he comes out a year later and he's wearing that red fucking flannel shirt, the top button, and he's got tats everywhere, he looks like the whitest fucking Mexican gangster I've ever seen. It looks like
It was bad.
it was
So
like
good.
Bryant Gumbel
It's so
Playing-
good.
So
It's
good.
playing a gangster in Compton.
Laugh so hard.
He just had the worst tattoos. He doesn't look tough at all.
So you want to become a Sicario?
Yeah, that's what the fuck? Why would you go see that kid? Why would you want to hire that kid to be a Sicario assassin when he fucking missed you when you were fucking not moving on the ground 2 feet from him?
And he didn't. You couldn't have known that was him. You were wearing
You were blindfolded!
a blindfold.
So just because you saw him in the parking lot and then you saw that he gave you up, that's how you connected that? You waited
That's
a
it.
year and just decided to go back to the choo-choo or cuckoo at fucking the mall.
Cuckoos. It's Cuckoos.
It's Cuckoos at the mall. You know, nobody watched fucking Breaking Bad and stole that idea. But, you know, shit. Like, what? Yeah, so to me, I felt like the movie should have ended with Benicio Del Toro kind of bleeding out in the car, hitting the pole, and then maybe coming back to a scene where we see that pole and the car's gone. You know, like, that would have been cool. To jump into a year later, it just felt like somebody at the studio or something was like, you know what'd be cool? Is if we continue this, like, and have this scene where, like, a year later, it's like at the end of Nightmare on Elm Street, where fucking all of a sudden all the kids that died throughout the movie just pull up in a car and Nancy's like, oh, this is cool, like, nothing's weird about this, or the jump roping girls in the front yard, but hey, you know, like, who the fuck thought that ending up? That's so dumb.
I feel like that ending, the 1 year later, should have been like a post-credit scene. So I wouldn't have to see it.
Yeah, so we could have left. Yeah.
Well said.
I would have been able to have chosen to leave and miss it.
One of my favorite things about going to see a movie that does have, like, Spanish-speaking roles in it is that you can always count on Chrysalia, if she's there, to laugh at how bad the translations are.
Yeah.
So
bad.
you're just hearing the scene where he's like, yeah, and I cut his fucking eyes out. And then she's just laughing. You're like, what is so funny about this?
It's like the most graphic
I'm sorry,
shit.
man. Those subtitles like don't translate the emotion. That I mean, you'll get the idea, but it's just so much funnier in Spanish. It's like when he, it's just...
like Benicio Del Toro, like when he kills the dude that you see it in the commercial, and he's like makes him put his glasses on and stuff. Like he's dark
dope.
as hell with that, and like how kind of like how soft spoken his character is, how he never really gets angry, is a really crazy thing. But man. Yeah, there's even some things that I was like, there's no way that they're all saying this. There's no way.
There was no way.
Yeah, they said way too much with way too little words.
That was the best part, man.
Yeah.
I was the only one laughing.
Does not equate. Does not equate. They said like three words. That was like a two-part sentence.
Yeah. You know, for the summer of Brolin, he's been in a ton of fucking movies this year.
Yep.
Especially this summer, you know, good for you, dude. But yeah, I would have to say this was the weakest one for me. You know, Deadpool 2 was great.
Yeah.
You know, Avengers was great. Snaps. He's got snaps, dude. You know, it's not saying anything that Josh Brolin was a bad actor or anything in this, or you know, Jeffrey Donovan who came back, like
Catherine Keener was in this
Keener,
as well.
Yeah, she was doing great. But it just felt like this was a movie that was shot completely with B-roll, completely with body doubles, and they had these big actors for a couple of days and shot and tried to make it this epic movie. That's why most of it takes place in really narrow like passageways, very harshly lit, dark shadows, military hangars, or just inside of cars. They're always driving somewhere, and like I feel like I keep like leaving this because it always makes me want to jump onto something else, but like. The first movie, the thing that really drove, like, for instance, there's a scene where they're all stuck at the border, and there's a cartel sitting next to them, and they all decide to engage them on the fucking, like, freeway right there in traffic.
Yeah.
The music, combined with the cinematography of Roger Deakins, the good direction coming out of... He directed Blade Runner, which I loved, and he's killing it. Denis Villeneuve, he's killing it! But... You know, unfortunately, this one was not directed by him, and I don't think that it really had what really kept my interest. Even though I felt like there wasn't a full beginning, middle, and end in the first Sicario film, it was just kind of like a moment in time. And you know, movies are doing that nowadays, where they're not giving you a beginning, middle, and end. They're sometimes just giving you a beginning, middle.
Yeah, they're just showing you this world.
This is just a part of this world, and
it never ends.
Choose to see more of it or whatever. You know, but I felt like this movie didn't hold me that way. Mm-hmm. You know, even the stuff that I saw in the commercials that was cool in the commercials, I thought was still cool. You know, we joked it was like when Donkey says, like, in the morning I'm making waffles. You saw it in the trailer and you're like, I can't wait for that to show up. And then when it does, you're still laughing at it. Even now, we're still laughing at it.
Yeah.
You know, so like when he says adios and blows that dude away, you're like, God damn, that's cool.
That was effective.
And there's a bunch of stuff that happens in this movie that is cool, but it doesn't mean it should be a movie. It felt a lot like a stunt person's reel.
Yeah.
You know, it just didn't have what the first movie had.
It was.
You know, it just felt like the B-roll from the first movie that got cut.
And I feel like that says something because the first movie to me was still very confusing.
Yeah, it was absolutely confusing. It wasn't that like insane. Like it's not a normal movie that you go and see. But yeah, this one just felt like a movie that just wanted to have excessive violence to have it. for no reason that drove story or drove the characters in any specific
Yeah.
way, unless it was for convenience to help the story along.
Yeah.
You know, like, why did the kid jump out of the back of the truck for any other reason if he's still going to be a fucking gangster a year later? Like,
Right.
did he know that it was going to get shot up? Did he know anything? No, he didn't.
No, of
he
course
just
not.
got out of the car, and then randomly a year later, he's doing the same thing still.
yeah.
So, like,
Yeah.
what's the point of having him get out of the car? Oh, yeah, so he doesn't get shot by all the fucking
So
U.S.
he's
Marines that come in.
useful in the third part of this franchise.
Which, unfortunately, if it's just like, if they just basically made Benicio Del Toro's character like a terrorist to come try to kill this whole thing, it's not going to be as cool as John Wick. I'm sorry. Like, that's not what this movie was. The movie was cool because he still had rules. He was that thing that didn't, they didn't want to let fully out of the cage. And in this
Right.
movie they did, and somehow he didn't do anything worse than he did in the first movie. He in fact became soft. So it doesn't really make any fucking sense when everybody's chopping at the bit for all this action and all this, like, I want to kill people and bad guys, to just not really do it. It was just so, everything was so easy and, like, just
drone strike
convenient.
him. Just drone strike him.
Yeah.
Drone strike him.
Just as easy as that.
That's all we need to do.
Yeah, or it's like, yeah, we're gonna go leave this girl with the Mexican army, and then they're gonna, like, make it seem like she's killed by the other cartel when we could have just killed her like that in the first place and avoided this entire problem where we have to go back and kill Benicio Del Toro. But nobody thought of that, I guess. You know? Just like in Jurassic World, where she could have just left all the goddamn dinosaurs in the cages and pushed the button to let the gas out. Nobody would be fucking hurting right now. And guess what? World domination doesn't happen when bullets take out fucking dinosaurs. Anyway, that's our review of Sicario 2. So I hope you enjoyed yourself this morning. I hope you're having a great Monday morning. One positive thing, it's got Benicio Del Toro in it.
The collector is there.
The collector is there, yeah. Anyway, for Hollywood Redux Podcast, that's going to do it for us today. Hope you enjoy the rest of your Monday. I'm Matt.
I'm Chrysalia.
And I'm Michael.
You can find us on our social medias that are probably on the bottom of the screen, but definitely down there in that description. And let us know what you thought of Sicario 2. Catch us next week. We're going to be checking out Ant-Man and Wasp. Hopefully, we finally get that summer blockbuster we've been waiting for. Goodbye.
Just asking for way too much.